Today we're here to share with you 5 psychological effects of yelling at kids. And the last one is going to surprise you a little. It's so interesting to me as a psychologist to see where we're going in the research and the literature about yelling.
Right.
Some researchers are suggesting that yelling is just as psychologically damaging to a child as physical abuse. I'm not sure if that's completely true, but I see why that finding is there. Yelling tends to traumatize children. And one of the most traumatizing experiences for a child is to feel unloved.
Yeah.
That's why we keep reiterating on this channel, what's your job as a parent? To love them.
No matter what. And
even if.
Yeah.
Yes. They don't feel loved when we're yelling at them. And so I can see the connection for the research that goes there. I've also seen that some of these researchers are giving a caveat or a little disclaimer that most parents do yell.
Oh, yes,
at their
definitely.
kids. I mean, we lose our cool, right? You've had the experience where you get up and it's a new day. And I'm going to do it right today, right? Just like I promised myself yesterday that I would. And then the kids wake up. And everything goes south real fast, right?
Or you're coming at it tired. Because what parent isn't
Right.
tired a lot of the times?
Whatever the factors are, we find ourselves in this position all the time where we end up yelling out of frustration. And you know, it used to be, Vicki, back in the day, the emphasis was on things like spanking, physical punishment, corporal punishment. And most of that is now considered to be abusive. And the professionals are very outspoken on this. You know, you should not do that. Well, I think that leaves parents in a frustrating position of, well, what do I do then?
Right.
And in that frustration, when they become depleted or overwhelmed or so frustrated with the situation, they end up yelling.
Right.
And that's why it's so common. Let me add one more caveat before we go on to our next point. And that is, it's okay to yell. When that's the best thing to do. I'm talking about times when it is physically dangerous to the child.
Right.
They're running out into the street. You've got to get their attention, and it has to be carried to them above all of the noise. Yell. There's a fire in the house. Yell to get your kids' attention. There's a reason why we have this capability. For most intents and purposes, yelling is not the most appropriate approach to a child or to discipline. But I wanted to give that caveat because sometimes you need to.
That leads us perfectly into the next point, and that is chronic yelling causes parent deafness. And, you know, you just said that there are times when maybe raising our voice is really important for a number of reasons, generally to make our child aware of a dangerous situation.
A safety concern.
It's a safety concern. If you are yelling all the time, and I've seen this, you know, as a mom, when you're chronically yelling, your child learns to just tune you out. It's kind of a basic safety mechanism that our body has. It's like, boy, that's a threat that's just constantly going, but it's not really a threat, so I'm just tuning it out.
Right. So when, Vicki, when you said parent deafness, you don't mean the parent goes deaf.
No, the kids go deaf to the parent.
To the parent.
Right.
And you'll know that this is happening when you have that experience of, my kids won't even listen to me.
Well, they wait until I get to a certain level.
Right. And why is that? You think about it, it's not the yelling. It's that the yelling is a signal that there's something else that's going to happen if I don't pay attention right now. But chronic yelling becomes, I like the way that you put this earlier, it's almost a defense mechanism that the child develops. It's a chronic state of threat. They want to remove themselves from that threat, so they just simply turn down the volume. They tune you out and they don't even hear you. When our kids become deaf to our voice, it doesn't matter what we're saying.
Right.
Because it's just blah, blah, blah to them. Our words are garbage. A lot of what we do in our parent coaching, for example, is helping parents to turn their words from garbage into gold. Can you imagine creating a scenario with your kids where you say something in a kind, calm, loving voice and your kids snap to attention? They're like, what? Mom's talking, everybody.
Wouldn't that be nice, right?
And some of you are thinking, oh, yeah, that never happens and it never will. It can. As you turn your words from garbage into gold, they start to listen to what you're saying because now we're putting some validity behind what we're saying. It's not just noise out the mouth. Which kind of leads us into the next point. I think yelling has almost as much of a negative effect on the parent as it does on the child.
Yeah, when you're chronically yelling, it really, I think, most of the parents I've talked to, it damages their self-confidence.
Yeah.
And they don't feel like they have control. They feel guilt and shame about the way that they're showing up for their kids and communicating to their kids. And so it can be psychologically damaging to the child because they go deaf to your words. And it can be psychologically damaging to the parent because it causes all kinds of self-doubt, lack of self-confidence, self-loathing sometimes, guilt.
Guilt, shame.
All that.
Enough with the guilt and shame already.
Yeah.
But you're right, Vicki. I have seen this so often, and you have validated this for us. You as viewers have responded to us with this, that you don't feel good as a parent when you find yourself doing that.
Another issue with yelling is that it kind of is modeling how you handle conflict, and that's what your child is going to learn, to handle conflict the same way.
Right.
So yellers often have children who are yellers, right? And it doesn't make a lot of sense. I remember a time, this is back to my parenting 101, some of the best times, right?
Hey,
and
how do you think we learned all this?
I had some children in the back seat, and they were hitting each other. And I remember reaching back and kind of slapping at their hands. Stop hitting each other. And I thought, oh yeah. So I'm telling them to stop hitting each other by kind of slapping their own hands away from each other, right?
It's
doesn't
like
make sense.
screaming at your children to be quiet.
Yeah, or yelling at your kids to stop yelling. It doesn't work very well. You're modeling how to handle frustration. Remember that yelling is just a symptom of what you're already feeling, right? You don't yell if you're feeling happy and calm and listen to it. It's because you're frustrated or you're tired or whatever.
Right.
So you're modeling that this is how you should handle life, is by going around and yelling at people. And that is not going to serve you or your child well in most life situations.
You probably already know this.
Right.
And we're not sharing these psychological effects of yelling to increase your guilt or shame. In fact, we're on your team. And we've been there.
Right.
We know how that feels. Let's bring this around to the last effect of yelling, and that is that it creates for you an opportunity, a learning opportunity.
Because let's be real, you're going to yell on occasion, right? And that's what we want to do, is get to the point that you have enough resources and enough tools in your belt that it doesn't happen all the time. But when it does, use it as a learning opportunity. It's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to your kids. What can you learn from it?
Yes.
There are some great strategies that we'll talk about a lot on our channel and in our other resources, but it gives you a chance to model apologies. It gives you a chance to do do-overs, right? One of my favorite things. It gives you a chance to show that people make mistakes and we can learn from it, that it doesn't change our worth by making a mistake.
The fact that you're here with us right now, watching this video to this point of the video, shows that you are a concerned, benevolent, loving parent. Let that sink in for a minute. You're a good parent. I know that you're doing some yelling. Welcome to Earth. We're all doing that. There are some obvious effects that are maladaptive that we want to stay away from the yelling. So we'll give you some resources. We're here. We're on your team. We're going to support and help you. Let's use it as a learning opportunity. Be grateful that you have those opportunities to learn. Because as you do so, what was it that Maya Angelou said about this? Do the best that you know how to do. And
when you know better, do better.
Yes, as you know better, do better. That was it. I love that. And that's what you're going to do. That's what we're going to help you to do. So let's be aware of the effects, but enough with the guilt and shame already. We'll use it as a learning opportunity and move forward. You know, Vicki, as we were going through this video, I was remembering we did a 5-day challenge. Do you remember that?
Yes, we
on
did.
how to stop yelling. We've got that over at Live on Purpose Central. You can find it here on YouTube as well. You probably didn't know about everything else that's available at Live on Purpose Central, where we have the Parenting Power Up, we have live discussion groups. You can get into my open office hours and ask me anything that you want. go.liveonpurposecentral.com. There's a link in the description. Come check it out.
Wished I'd had a number so I could be caught.